Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on the journey toward publication. I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write in multiple genres, including nonfiction, under the pen name Dee Bowman is my name.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian fantasy.
I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
Well, thank you all for tuning in, and for everyone listening live, and a big thank you to all of our listeners on iTunes or on any of the platforms where we make our audio available. YouTubers, if you like what we do, please remember to like and subscribe. And you can also go on over to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, which will ensure you never miss a single episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Good morning, Shell.
Morning, Shell.
I feel like there should be a prize for the first person to say good morning in the chat.
Let me jot that note down.
That's a good idea.
It is.
Love it.
Okay, good job, Tina. All right, well, we like to start each episode with a segment we call What's Up? So it's a time for us to check in with one another and see where we are with our writing and our personal lives. So let's see. What's up, Jamie?
Okay, so check out how fun my daughter is. Okay, so these are not for me, but
Sure.
she is young and has a job. So she's like, I can buy things on the internet now. And she has unleashed the power of Amazon Prime.
Oh.
And so she got these kitty headphones. I was like, you totally must let me borrow these for the podcast. So she did. And that is my What's Up for today. I look just so cute and kitty-esque with my little kitty headphones. And, oh, yes, Piper likes them. She says they're awesome.
Now, you said that she's young, but like to us, she's young, but she's not like 7, right? How old is your daughter?
She'll be 18 in January. Why are you doing this to me, Jennifer? Yes, I know. Like launching into the big wide world. And I'm just so proud that she has reached this milestone of ordering from the internet. Like, you know, she walked. That was okay. She talked. That was sort of exciting. But now I know she can provide for herself forever.
Potty training. Potty training is always good.
Yeah. All right.
And my
pretty much
daughter is
looking
like
at Riley.
12, so she can't be that old.
And we're pretty much looking at a picture of Riley wearing those because she looks so much like you. Anyway.
I just went and had my children cloned of me because I didn't care for childbirth. I didn't like the ideal of it. So
if anyone sees her children, they will get that joke because they are truly clones of her. They are adorable.
All right. Tina, what's going on with you?
Well, as soon as the podcast is over today, I am going on a trip. And it's something that my cousins and I do like every other year. And we didn't get to go last year because the shutdown happened right before we were supposed to go. So we're renting an Airbnb in Benton Harbor, Michigan on the beach. There's a private beach. So what was I going to say? It's considered the Riviera of Michigan, that whole area right there.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So we're going to have a great time. And my cousins are Polish. I'm adopted. So they say that I'm Polish by osmosis.
Aw, they just absorb you. That's
because
so
apparently,
sweet.
apparently there's 2 kinds of people in the world. Those who are Polish and those who wish they were.
I will testify. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be Polish so bad. They had the best food. And then my Auntie Evie would always just say, come here and let me give you kisses. And she would just kiss me everywhere. I didn't realize that she married into a Polish family. So she wasn't even Polish. But I just loved, because I saw her and there was Polish food around. I don't know. For real.
My best friend growing up was Polish. Her parents were from Poland and they had a slight accent. And again, I loved being at their house too. So lots of kids and.
So we made these buttons. My cousin Bobby made them. It says Polish cousins on the loose. For some reason, I end up with my mom's. Like this isn't even mine, and then this one's my daughter's. Like when one year she made them all. Like all the females in the family. She made one for like a family reunion or something. So I'm gonna have to like take it apart and put some washi tape right there or something, because we have to wear our buttons when we go out in public. to warn the public.
Here we come. Leah says Benton Harbor, that's really close to me. Have a wonderful time. It's beautiful. That's awesome.
Michigan in the summer will woo you. You'll think,
Yes.
I want to stay here forever. It's so beautiful up there. Good for you.
Well, I've always thought it was too hot, but it's kind of early, so hopefully I won't melt.
She said that
I'm really sweet. I melt.
Rain will do that to you too. Sugar melts in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Leah says she married into Polish, so she understands. Piper's what's up? Been moving office, reading through a book for feedback, planning a meet up with New England realm writers, and trying to retro story Genius, my work in progress.
Yep. I understand.
Oh, that's hard to retro it. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's some work.
Yeah. All right. So my what's up is it's gardening season, and I'm all about gardening and trying to fit some writing in between my plants.
I can dig it, Rhonda.
I just had a picture of Rhonda in the garden with her notebook in between the plants.
I will take a picture for you.
Aw, that's great.
Jennifer, what's up with you?
So mine is similar to, it's about Michigan. I live in Michigan as well. And I agree. Michigan in the summertime, especially May and June, is just so beautiful. So yesterday, my office was outdoors. I don't think I ever mentioned, maybe I did, that we got chicks and ducks this year.
What?
And the chicks are still pretty tiny, and they're still in the brooder in the house, which we're moving that out to the garage. It's getting warm enough at night for them to be out there with the lamp. But the ducks grow really fast, you guys. The ducks are big. And so we have a setup for them in the garage right now because we still haven't built the coop for either the ducks or the chicks. And with wood, the price it is, we're kind of like gathering supplies and we're repurposing. And so we have to put the ducks out every day in a pen outside. But then if I'm outside or one of my girls is outside, we let them kind of free range because they're getting kind of big, and we have a little kiddie pool for them. And they're outside right now with the kiddie pool and their food, but with like a little gate thing around them. But when I go out, I just take the gate off and they just kind of eat bugs and go around. They're the cutest thing. So yesterday, that's where I set myself up under the tree in the shade with my computer, and I worked all day. My youngest brought her laptop out and did her homework, sitting right next to me, and it was beautiful. And can I just tell you, there's nothing better than being a writer in Michigan in the summer, like in the early summer, and just doing that. So I had the best day yesterday. So
I can smell the air of when the wind hits. There's nothing like it. I can't wait till I get to have that experience.
I was so confused when you started talking because we went from talking about Rhonda's plants, and there's these little things that grow in Minnesota that I brought home with me called chicks and hens.
Oh, yes.
And I was waiting for you to get done so I could tell you that in Minnesota we call them chicks and hens, not chicks and ducks. And I realized that you were talking about real chicks and ducks.
Real ones. And so I love the idea of writing outside. Jennifer, did it shake anything loose to change up your environment, or?
Well, I didn't get a lot of writing done yesterday. I was doing graphic stuff, like book cover things and like that. But it just was so good. Just it spoke to my spirit to be outside,
Mm-hmm.
Leah agrees. She said Michigan is so beautiful. Piper says I grew up on a farm with chickens and geese. Watch your toes around. I don't like geese. We have a farm close by here that I get plants from, and we occasionally get eggs from them and whatnot. And we all the way back past all the greenhouses and stuff is where their chickens and ducks, and they have geese too. And they're kind of cool looking, but I just don't even want to. So
the Canadian geese in the parking lots at school would be really vicious.
Yeah,
and I saw someone online was just grab them by the neck and yeet them. They're yeet a goose, and it just, I don't know. Yeeting geese is fun because of the two E's.
Hilarious.
Anyway,
Teresa says she.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. She grew up vacationing in Stevensville with my in-laws. Okay, go ahead.
We're just at the campground where my daughter works. The Canadian geese are just out of control. So they literally got a mock-up of a coyote, and they put it out on the swimming beach, and it has a real tail. And so when the wind blows, it moves in the breeze, and it keeps the geese off the swimming beach so that my daughter doesn't have to go clean up poop every morning.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
really cool.
That's very cool.
Couple more things in our chat. Piper says, if you don't know, realm writers are Christian speculative fiction writers. Did you know that, Tina?
Oh,
No, I didn't.
All right,
Wow.
Piper, we would love more information on that, like for how other Christian speculative writers can be connecting with that, because that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Shell's, what's up? Not much writing this week, but lots of reading. That's okay too. I'm all right with that.
mhm.
Trey says, what's up? Finished my review of Tina's audiobook. Lord willing, we are listing our house this week.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yay.
So this weekend is our final push to get everything done. Good for you.
Mm.
Wow.
And then Piper's talking
Thank
about
you for the
bees.
review.
All right.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our topic. Is everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so we are talking about audiobooks today. And is Audible the only choice for audiobooks? So, the chatters, any of you, if you can let us know if you are audiobook listeners or if you have experimented with any audiobook, turning any of your own books into audiobooks, we would love to hear your experience. So, I love my paper books. I don't spend a lot of time listening to audiobooks. I listen to podcasts all day. So I don't know why I don't like listening to books audio. But anyway, at some point, I'm going to need to think about whether my books are going to go audio or not. So we are here to discuss that today.
You know, I'm just the opposite. I love audiobooks.
Mhm.
And I like, there's certain authors that I've learned that their audiobooks are like very enjoyable to me.
Mhm.
So when they have a new book come out, I just automatically get the audiobook. So this is interesting to me. I haven't done it, even though I enjoy audiobooks. I haven't even dipped my toes into that at all
Mhm.
yet. So this is going to be a
Right.
good one for me to listen to too.
What do you
Okay.
think about audiobooks, Tina? Do you use them? Are you into one?
I mostly listen to audiobooks for nonfiction, but I
yeah.
have listened to some fiction on audiobooks. I tend to listen while I'm working in my really boring, mundane, repetitive job. So
I think you and I are a lot alike that way, Tina, because I'll put on an audiobook just to occupy my brain while I'm like doing dishes or laundry or something that I feel like my physical doesn't need to be monitored, so my brain can go play somewhere. But
Yep.
like Rhonda, I'm wondering if for you it's just a way that you're more visual, because my husband also does not prefer an audiobook because he wants to look, because he's a very visual person.
Yeah.
So I'm just suspecting that maybe it's a difference in like a learning style. Because
Probably.
I think it's just a
Yeah.
difference in personality or learning
Yeah.
style.
So the question I posed to you guys last week was, is Audible the only choice for audiobooks? So with my lack of knowledge on this, Audible is the only one that I know of off the top of my head as a consumer. So are there other choices for us?
I don't think you're alone, first of all. I think, it's Amazon. So they've got a market on, they've got a big advertising arm. They're all over. Everybody knows about Audible. So I don't think you're alone, first of all.
Right.
Who's going first as far as the alternatives? Because I need to look at my outline.
well, I can talk a little bit about the first one.
Okay.
And it's through Draft to Digital, and it's called Find Away Voices.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little bit of poking around in their website without actually having to sign up. So some differences between Audible and Find Away Voices that I found were 80% royalty. You keep 80% of your profits. It's 40% on Audible, and I think
Wow.
there are some caveats to that. Like I signed up to be exclusive when I put my book up, and I might have gotten a bigger royalty because of that, but I'd have to go back and double check that. Also, they publish your Audible book wide. It's not just on their platform. So then you can put your Audible book anywhere. It had like a half a screen full of logos of all the different places that you could put your audiobook by doing it through them.
And we're going to talk more about that later in the show. So if anybody is confused or something, just stick around. So keep going, Tina.
Right. And also one thing that they have that I haven't found on Audible that I like is they have a promotional pricing tool, so that when you're doing promos like through BookBub or anywhere like that, Chirp, then you can adjust your pricing on their platform for that kind of thing. So those are the three major differences that I found.
Now, I know we're not going to be talking about narrators today. That's going to be a future podcast. But did you like Findaway Voices? You can connect with narrators there the same way you can Audible. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Now, whether you can share royalties or not, that I could not find. That I couldn't find that information, and I suspect I probably had to sign up and get with an account to get more information about that.
But when we talk about narrators next week, we'll have that information next week.
Right.
So, awesome.
Okay, so we've got Draft to Digital, and are there other? Are those our two options, or do we have more?
Well, actually, there's Google Play, which is a separate. Okay, it gets a little bit confusing because Findaway Voices is sort of like an aggregator or a distribution platform through which many retailers will get your book. But Chirp is its own storefront. Like it's almost like you're walking up to Kmart instead of Barnes and Noble, and you're going to go in there to browse. So Chirp is not going to get your book if you put it on Findaway Voices. You have to go and be in Chirp as like it's an alternative. You know what I mean? So, but Google Play will pick your book up from within Findaway Voices. So it's a distinction, you see. So that's why there's three separate ones. There's an Audible platform. Then there's Findaway Voices, which will distribute you to Audible if you click a certain button. You understand? So you could just go straight through Findaway Voices and also end up on Amazon, but you have to read very carefully everything you click because you are still entering into an agreement with Amazon. Read everything before you submit. I am not going to advise you how to make that decision because that is a decision fraught with drama that every person has to make on their own. The point is Chirp, Audible, and Findaway Voices are the three that we know about. There might be some others out there.
Okay, let me back up just a little bit then. Would I already have my audiobook in audio form at this point, or do I go to these sites to record that?
Who wants to take it? I can or someone else?
Go ahead, Jamie.
Okay, so you can do either. I happen to show up with audio ready to go. But you can, okay, again, these are situations that are fraught with a myriad. How big is your budget? How much time do you have? What's your deadline? I mean, I almost hate bringing up there's a way to do this because then it feels like an endorsement. But I will tell you that from start to finish, either Findaway Voices or Audible will take you by the hand and say, don't have a narrator? Click here. And they will walk you through a whole process where you can go from beginning to end very easily if you're willing to put in the time and effort. But you must make every decision like thinking, this is my choice. Jamie's not telling me to do this. Because again, there's pros and cons to every button you click there, right? And we just don't have the time or space to go through all of the possible reasons you wouldn't do this, right?
Okay. All right.
You know, you had a different experience, right? You did not show up with your audio already.
No, I didn't. I went looking for a narrator, and I didn't have money to pay the narrator up front, so I did royalty sharing. So I had to find a narrator that was willing to do royalty sharing with me. They don't have to. It's their choice. And also, I was specifically looking for a narrator who was an Alaskan Native. I wanted to honor that culture because it's very prominent in my book. And there just happened to be one.
That's so cool.
That's
yeah, the one.
She sounds so great.
There was another lady that lived in Nome, and she said, I'm not actually Native, but I can do the accent. But I went with the girl who was actually a Native.
That's so cool.
And it was a great choice too. If anybody hasn't read or listened to Tina's book, you should.
It's beautiful.
And I recommend the audio. I recommend the audiobook first.
And you're not an audiobook person.
That's right.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
You know, when I went and listened, because you have to go listen and make sure there's no mistakes or whatever, and then approve it. I actually had to pull out my print book and read it along because I was like, I didn't say that. Because for somehow her voice reading the book brought it to life, even for me.
Agreed.
And I was like, No way I said that. That's
Like,
so beautiful.
who's this amazing author? Let me go find the
Yeah.
book, right?
Like, no, I didn't. I didn't write that. What? Yeah, I did.
That's
was
why
just-
you put in the long hours, right?
That's
Everybody
right.
who's struggling this week, keep going so you can have this moment that Tina had. Keep going.
Hey, before we move on, there's some people are chatting in the chat about they like audiobooks, what they do with audiobooks, their opinion on that. But I want to highlight this real quick. Piper said, I learned that even if you do not want to or not ready to do an audiobook, you should go into Audible and claim it so that no one else can do so, which seems
What?
bizarre, but there are stories out there. And Shell confirmed it. She says, that's true, Piper, about claiming your books. I've heard stories too. I know nothing about that, so we don't have really any of our comments ourselves, but look into that. Like that's something that we probably all need to look into. So thank you for bringing that up. We have the best chatters. Well, I know we say that a lot, but
yeah, this feels very like an organic transition into why do we care, right? Like, I mean, we had decided this episode would be like, well, what are our alternatives and why do we care what the alternatives are? Does it feel like maybe we should move on to that part?
Yes, we should.
Mhm.
Because do they all price the same? Is one more expensive? Is there like a Lamborghini version and a Chevette version? Or yes, please tell me all that.
Tina, what do you want to say first? Because I think you're going to have a better opinion or a different perspective.
Well, there's kind of a couple points that kind of merge together for me. One is the fact that Audible is a subscription service that people subscribe to, and then they have credits. And then they use their credits to buy. And then some people don't have a subscription and they just go in there and can buy without the subscription. And so the pricing is different based on whether they have a subscription or not.
Right. Yeah.
And then also the royalties are different based on whether they have a subscription or not. And so it's really hard to kind of decipher what your royalties actually are, and it's per sale. You kind of have to figure it out. And I really like the idea of being able to control my sale prices, to be able to control the prices and getting a bigger royalty. Unfortunately, I already signed an exclusive contract. So
for how long? Do you mind sharing that? How long you had?
When I signed it, it said 7 years. Now I know that there has been a change in that.
Okay.
And I don't know if that applies to me or not. So
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
And because I did royalty sharing with my narrator, it would be a lot more difficult for me to pull out.
True.
I will speak from so I have been a narrator before I published as an author, any audio. I was an audiobook narrator. And from the narrator's perspective, I really appreciated the royalty share option. But from a narrator's perspective, guys, recognize that if your book is 80,000 words, that's a really taxing chore for a royalty share narrator. Think about the fact that when you read your book out loud, you might make a mistake. Well, your audiobook narrator has to go and correct all of those. Like, it's a really intensive situation. So when a narrator agrees to do a royalty share with you, they want to see that you're promoting your book, that you're going to try to sell it, that there's a chance they're going to make some money. And that's how you get the good narrators to want to be a part of your project, especially if they're going to invest 100,000 words worth of time into your book, right? So be as sweet as pie as you can and understand that they're taking a chance on you if you're doing a royalty share. They're pulling the slot machine hoping you're going to sell books. So do your best to do right by them. That's what I want to say.
Thank you for saying that.
And again, we're going to talk more about narrators next week. And so part of everything Jamie said, I agree with, which is why I think I haven't gone that direction yet, because I wanted to have some proof, right?
Yeah.
And I'll talk more specifically next week what I
so
think
excited,
I'm
yeah.
do moving forward. But it's more personal for me to make sure that I take care of my narrator. So, but we're going to talk about that next week.
Yeah.
And I do have a question. I noticed in the chat that Leah had mentioned that it's a different audience for her audiobook readers so, Jamie, I think that you mentioned something about that too. I would just like to hear more about, is it a wider audience? Is it a different group you're targeting? Anyway, I would like to know more about that. But
I can
any
speak to that, or
comments?
Tina first, because I don't want to, I could be a motor mouth.
I really don't know the answer to
That's
that.
okay. Okay, so I would kind of say, look, like Tina said, if you have a subscription to Audible, that's how you're getting your audiobooks. And you're probably not someone who cares about if there's a coupon for it. You're not someone who's digging around looking for the bargain bin. You're not someone who's wondering, can you get it for $2.99 instead of $7.99? So you're going to reach different people when you're outside of that service, because people just can't afford it, if I'm being honest, and they can't take it out of their budget to do something luxurious like reading. So I feel like you reach people who are willing to spend their money on you because they want to read, but they're picky. So you're reaching the niche people who are looking for their niche to be satisfied more than you're looking for the broad reader who's looking for the next thing to kind of catch their fancy. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's going to open you up for many ways.
I can say that as a Audible listener, I will buy Audible books that are pricier to buy the actual book.
Yes.
Like if it's a $6.99 ebook or a $14.99 paperback, but I have an Audible credit, I'm more likely to go over and buy the Audible book.
Interesting.
That's a really good point. Now, I'm not an Audible reader. I do not have the subscription. I do love audiobooks. So there are ways on the platforms to offer it free to get people in the door, just like we do I have my first in series free. But I'm like Shell. Shell says that she loves audiobooks. I alternate between podcasts and audiobooks. Mostly I borrow from my library through the Overdrive app.
Wow.
My girl, Jamie, is the one that pointed this out to me. I never realized that I could get audiobooks at the library. And so my girls and I, all four of us, we are big audio listeners through the library. And I found my girls love that. My girls are slightly advanced, but they also love to kind of read beyond that too. They love fantasy and some of the big words for my 10-year-old, even though she can grasp the concepts behind the big words. So the audiobook helps her to read these books that her older sisters are reading that she wants to keep up on. And then they have these great discussions. So, so I think that probably the going wide versus being audible is probably a whole nother discussion too, that we're not ready to have right now. But yeah, I mean, it's like there is an audience out there. And I think it just like with ebooks, there's going to be discussions about Kindle Unlimited or being wide. I think it's the same thing with audiobooks, but it is a whole different audience. Like my little girls are not reading ebooks really at this point yet in life. They're reading actual physical copies, but they're listening to audiobooks. So that's a whole nother audience.
Yes, Jennifer, I couldn't agree more with what you said. I entirely support all of that. And when you go through the Amazon publishing process, because my narrator experience was Audible, but my publishing experience is Findaway. See, and this is what I regret, is not looking up. If you don't go exclusive with Amazon, I think they will still distribute you to libraries and things like that. But I know 100% for sure, if you go through Findaway Voices, you end up in Biblioteca and you end up in Hoopla and you end up in Overdrive, all of those places where you can check out from the library. And my Help Wanted audiobook has done great through Biblioteca library service. So it's a great way for you to give your writing away to a whole bunch of people who would be blessed to be able to check it out for free. So it's a new audience.
I don't want us to get too far off the outline, but there's some really good chat going on. Can we?
Yeah.
Go to that
Yes.
for a second?
Yeah.
Leah says, just had an experience, was wanting to use a clip from audiobook for TikTok ad. The narrator is in the actor union. The cost for using the voice is $500 to $1,000 for social media posts. Just an FYI.
That's amazing.
So be conscious of that. Like the better narrators you're going to come across at newbies, maybe you have to kind of weigh it. Like this person is a newbie and they may not charge me as much to do this kind of stuff. So those are things to think about when you're booking this. Yeah.
I have something to say.
Yes.
For $500, I'll read anything that you send me.
Yeah.
J.R. Nichols online. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
How are they
Every
charging
line
that?
has the word
Really?
breastbone in it.
Oh, let's not even. Oh, my word. Yes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Teresa says, I've also heard about people doing split between upfront payment and royalty share to help make it worth it for the narrator.
$200 now, the rest when you finish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I need you guys to tell me do I need to turn my book into an audiobook? I would just like a consensus.
Well, you haven't even written your book yet, so I don't know how to answer that question.
Right. Like once we read it, so
Mhm.
Also, what kind of market is there on Audible for the genre that you're writing?
Oh,
that's a
good
good-
question.
So I would say
Yeah.
research is needed.
Mhm.
Is it in your business plan?
Mhm. No, it's not actually.
Oh,
So
then-
I'm tossing it.
right. So for me, I've not done one yet, but so it will be worth it for me for my fiction. And then we'll talk about narrators next week, but then my nonfiction I plan on doing for myself when I move into that realm. And so for sure it'll be worth it for me because it's not going to cost me a narrator. I'm not going to split things or whatever. So for me, for my genre, I think it makes sense. But what the lady said is totally true. Like it's going to be dependent on your genre, and everyone's going to put a little bit of research in it for themselves. And really, the research you need to do is look at your comps. People that are your competitor. I hate the word competitors because there's enough space for all of us to be in this kiddie pool.
Yeah.
But look at the other people in your genre that are selling and what are they doing. If there aren't a whole lot of audiobooks, it could mean one of two things. It could mean like this is an open field, go for it and see what happens, or it could mean that they figured out that no one's listening to them. So
Might I address the beautiful pioneers in petticoats with author Leah Benicki? Because the girls speak of my language.
mhm.
I've done the math. For my entire series, it would cost me $20,000. That is royalty share. Production cost is pricey. Yes, my friends. Okay, so all right. Think about if you wanted to take your own time to buy this microphone and this little box that I have down here to make the microphone work with my PC. And then I had to invest hours. Right. So it is expensive. But if you are willing to do the work and learn it for yourself, you can record your own if you are talented in that particular way. Okay? Don't waste your time if you think this is maybe not, right? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying if you're really serious about it and you're really willing to do it right, it can be done. I'm telling you, you can do it. You can get a fancy microphone and all of the stuff to do it yourself, and it won't cost you $20,000, but I can't teach you how.
I think that advice just fits with our brand so much. We are the Christian indie writers. We encourage you to do everything yourself if you can.
If you can.
Book covers. You can do your own book cover, but if you don't have the talent, if you don't have the eye for it, no matter how many classes you take, no matter how long you try, it may just be better for you to hire someone else. But that's a decision that each person has to make individually. So you have to look at this honestly from a perspective of, okay, what is best for my brand? And it may be to find someone to royalty share because you just can't do it yourself. Or it may be, I need to put a little time into learning this, put a little bit of money into getting what I need, and I need to put the work into doing it. But that's a choice that each person will have to make individually. And I think that really stands behind what we say about everything in publishing.
And if you're the person at your writing group that everybody hands their work to and says, "Can you read it for me?" You might be the perfect candidate. Yeah,
Possibly.
Right.
Right.
So Leah says that they're considering audiobooks as a retirement plan. Passive income for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Mhm.
that's right. So that's another thing to
Right.
consider. If you're in this for
Yes.
the long haul, it may cost you some money up front. But if you think about it, our creative product that we put out, our books, our audiobooks, everything, this is for the life. This isn't just for, well, the book released and now it's done. That's all the money I'm going to make. No, I'm going to make money on this book for years and years to come. So you have to balance that as well. It's a decision, a business
I'll
decision.
tell you
everybody has
what.
to.
The one and only thing that keeps me from telling everybody do it yourself is the number of Pelotons that have clothes hanging all over them right now across the USA, because people get very excited about a new project. I'm going to do an audiobook. And then they go and spend $1 billion on their new hobby. And they tell everybody it's going to make me $1 million. It's going to make me an overnight whatever. And then they fizzle out with their passion. And then they got a whole closet full of audio equipment that Jamie Hirschberger taught me into buying. I'm not going to own it for you, folks. if you're not going to commit to doing the work, don't even start. That's what I got to say.
And Piper says, get feedback from honest friends. We should have made that all caps, Piper, about whether your own efforts are good enough, because a self-made cover is really not going to cut it anymore. Agreed. And I think a not well done audiobook would be the same thing. Now, I would not say a self-made cover is not going to cut it, because it depends on your skill level. If it looks self-made, yes, it's not going to cut it. But
you have to be confident in it. You have to be 100% ready to take the heat. End of discussion. Like, if you think it's good enough, it's good enough.
Well, Jennifer made all her covers, and I think hers are very professional.
Agreed.
You can't
They're
see
gorgeous.
the difference up against the professional made covers. And I made my cover, and it might not be as professional as Jen's, but it hasn't stopped anyone from buying my book that I know of.
You worked really hard on your cover. Like, you didn't just kind of slap something together. You took a course and you worked really hard. You made that decision that it was going to be worth it for you to put in that time and effort. So,
yep. Jen, can you pop up that last comment, and then we'll move on to the feeding of our backs.
So Francine Rivers, this is from Leah. Francine Rivers, her book Redeeming Love is 20 years old. She still makes $5,000 a month from ebook sales. Good book stand. It's a test time. Yeah. She's always in the top 10, always either number 1 or like she's usually in the top 3, always, no matter what book releases. So,
I think I'm going to release my next book under Mancine Mivers and see.
Piper says, right, good clarification. If it doesn't cut it as a professional, it isn't going to cut it. But Jennifer's a professional. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So nice.
Hopefully, future covers, you guys will agree on that too. So
I will agree.
The Redeeming Love audiobook is fantastic too. Ooh, that's probably one I would buy. Even though I've read the book, I would probably listen to that. So Thomas Upstant suggests that if a traditional publisher gave you a contract that doesn't include an audiobook, that implies they don't really believe in you. Investing in one for yourself is a way to set you apart as a serious author.
That's true, because it is an investment. Absolutely.
Leah says, I did all my covers. I went to college for graphic design. I finally made the experience pay off.
Yay!
So everyone's going to be different.
Yeah.
But if you're the person that has to ask someone else to help you pick out paint colors.
Right. That's a good clue.
That's one clue that might be you may not be able to do it, because it really is more than just finding a picture you like and piecing things together. You have to have an eye for that. So, all right. Same thing with audiobooks, right? Like, give it, like, if you want to give it a try, great. But just understand that you may have to hire someone. We just want you to know when doing this that there are lots of options, and it's going to be individual. Like Jamie for sure can do her audiobooks. I possibly can, except for people it's up in the air whether or not my British accent is good or not. Like some people think it is. Most people don't.
Could we get their names?
Me, Jennifer. I'm the one who thinks it's good. Moving on. Okay, sorry.
All right. This has been a great discussion, but we do have to move on if we're going to keep it contained. Okay. So any last comments about that before we move on?
No, I think you've covered it.
You came down so firm and then you wilted.
I know. I was thinking that as I was saying it. Okay. All right. So Jamie, since you're being so sassy today, why don't you tell us why we feed our backs and tell us your story?
Yes, so feeding of the backs. What is that? Well, we always say it's time to give everybody feedback about their story. And so when the last comment has been said and it's time to move on, we turn to the person, we say, is your back well fed? Did you get enough feedback? And that is why we call it the feeding of the backs. We only do positive here because we just wrote this stuff right before the podcast. That's right. We set a timer and write for 15 minutes before we go live with you. And these pieces have not seen the light of day until right now, the debut of our beautiful pieces.
Some of them probably shouldn't, but
ever see the light of day. All right, I will now find my piece, supposedly. Okay, today, someone else say the prompt though. I've been talking a lot.
Laboratory. Oh, sorry.
What? No, go ahead.
Laboratory, wheel, policy, addition, and appearance. You have to use the words in the prompt.
Do you really? Because I never.
Or you could just wave to them on the way by.
This time I got 2 that I know of. Yes. Okay. All right, here we go. I wasn't sure why my wheel had to be kept out in the laboratory. I could understand the kiln, being as it needed to be heated up to something like 1,000 degrees in order to turn what I had on the spinner into something someone could eventually put a flour and a bunch of water into. Had to get the glaze on before it was fired, though. Process. Another step to take. One at a time. Each in its time. I didn't like my technique with the glaze. I knew it would be streaky. I decided it would become a statement piece in that moment. The streaks reminiscent of the tears that fell onto my pillow and the water that slid down the panes of the windows and all those sad, sad songs. Only this was my pain, this running of glaze down the side of a pot in all its jagged rivulets and runs. Later, my mother would wonder why I decided I'd never sell that pot. The light flipped on and Michael slipped in behind me. How can you see in the dark? Turn it off, I muttered, my eyes slammed shut against the intrusion. He persisted with his hands, but I elbowed him away. Lights off, I demanded. Of course, my wish was my command, but the hands did not return. Of course they did not return. I had chosen the work over him at a sensitive moment. We both knew. You want to talk about it? He said, as I cleaned and tidied. Again, wondering why I was forced to share the lab, I slammed the zipper too hard and it snagged on my case. Not really, I said. I eyed the pot. Couldn't he look at the pot and see how I was feeling? I had made that pot over the course of our relationship. It listed to one side and would barely stay aright. Now it was smeared and crying. I wasn't crying anymore, though. Look, I said, slinging my satchel over my shoulder. I'm having my wheel moved out to the barn, next to Beauty where it should have been put in the first place. Pottery and hay don't mix. Cut it with the crap, I said. It's the kiln that's the issue and we both know it. He crossed his arms, ever the petulant child. Tell me there's a reason I can't have my way, I dared him. He could not answer. Very well then, I said. Talk to you soon. That's all.
Oh, Jamie. To take a piece of pottery and make it like the manifestation of this woman's emotions, the representation of her relationship, like in 15 minutes. So well done.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. As usual, your characters are just amazing. Your
Yeah.
storylines are the fact that you can get a story out so quickly just blows my mind. A word of advice though, she might want to fire that at 2,400 degrees next time.
Oh,
and
thank
won't
you.
have such a problem.
I really wanted those details. I really did 2,400. Oh, good. Oh, so she's doing it wrong. So yay. Ooh, even better. Ooh, okay.
I love the imagery of the tears and the raindrops on the window pane, and then it moving it to the glaze down the side of the pot. That was just really, really good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Piper liked the sadly listing to the side. She's like, I'm not crying anymore. Yeah, that was a great line.
Thank
Leah
you.
says the relationship catalyst. That was good. Great capture of emotions, Jamie. Says Shell.
This is why I like Fridays. Oh, my love tank
That
gets filled to the
definitely
top. Yes.
deserved to see the light of day.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Mine, not so much.
Well, let's hear it, Tina.
Okay, sure.
Did you get all the words, though? You probably got all the words.
I did get all the words, but I didn't do it very creatively, so
If it's all the first sentence, I'm gonna laugh.
Yes.
it's not. But I just put down something completely ridiculous because I didn't know what to write. Here we go. Jim Calhoun here. In this edition of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, Feeding of the Backs, Christina Catane will be reading her magnum opus, a piece so inspired that Walt Whitman has resurrected from his grave to give feedback. Walt, what can you tell us? What you are expecting from Tina's sprint today? Poetry. Pure poetry. That was Walt Whitman, recently come back to life with his prediction about the outcome of Tina's sprint on this, the 4th day of June, 2021. I've called in some experts to give us their take on what is going to happen here today. Ted Decker is here with me. Ted, what do you think the audience reaction will be? Laughter? Tears? Sobs of joy? Anything is possible, Jim. Thank you, Ted. Let's go over to Frank Peretti. Frank, one reviewer compared Tina's first novel to your writing. What is your reaction? Well, Jim, that is a great question. I would just have to say that to be compared in any way to Christina Catane is an honor and a privilege. She is by far the better writer. Thank you, Frank, for that heartfelt endorsement. We are going to go silent now while J.R. Nichols reads her sprint. the ladies had to use these 5 words: laboratory, wheel, policy, edition.
Shut up.
Let's listen. Well, what's your assessment of JR's writing, Steve? Frankly, Jim, I haven't experienced such a feeling of deep satisfaction while reading since I published The Stand. I better get on the ball before I get surpassed. What's this? C.S. Lewis is on the line? Calling from the great beyond? C.S., what are your thoughts? I just had to interrupt my golf game with Moses to say this. Not since the Inklings were meeting have I seen a better group of writers. You heard it here first, folks. C.S. Lewis himself has chimed in about the literary prowess of this group of ladies. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, here's Christina Catane.
Yay!
That was the best, Tina. That was the best. I have never loved a sprint more than that. That was so hilarious.
You win the sprint game.
That is the
I
best.
just thought it was ridiculous.
No, it's the best creative use of our prompt ever. And like, you really didn't even use the prompt. Like, you just stuck it. It was so good.
So classic. Shenanigans supreme.
Shenanigans supreme. Piper says, this is so much fun. Shell says, so creative. How fun. Oh my gosh. That was so enjoyable.
It was. I loved every second of it.
All the heavy hitters came, baby. You had all the players, man. That was a who's list of opinions. Man.
Yes.
Stephen King. Did you see my eyes? I'm like, this is real.
Ted Decker. C.S. Lewis.
Decker was right.
Frank Peretti. They all were there. Oh my word. That was awesome.
Love that. Just love it, Tina. Thank you for doing that. That really means you love us, is what that means. And we love you too, Tina. And we love our chatters too. This is just such a great group of people. Thanks, guys.
Teresa says, Tina, that's amazing. The podcast should put that on
for
your website.
Sure.
Oh, it's always every episode is on our website, but
we should tell our PA to do that for us.
Yeah.
Well, we could all put it in our next sprint prompt book.
Good.
Yes, this one should go in there for sure. It should be like the opening, whatever, curtain or something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was really good, Tina.
Yeah, fantastic. I would like to read more of that from you.
Would you like to follow it with your sprint?
No, I would not. Actually, as a matter of fact, I will not be going next. I'm going to have Jennifer go next.
That's not how it's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to go last, but I'll do it. So mine is not. Wait, let's see. Piper says, oh, now I feel bad about outing Stephen King as a bad audio reader. We missed that comment. They were talking about how he's done some of his own audiobooks and they're terrible, but all right, so mine is not as good as Tina's, but it's okay. I'm revisiting a character that I've written about before in a sprint, have not written a book yet, and I did not get anywhere near where I wanted to get. So here we go. Like a rat on a hamster wheel in a laboratory of human observation, Molly entered her cubicle and began her normal routine. First Facebook, because, it's Facebook, the king of all social media. With over 2 billion users, her company's target audience was most likely scrolling there right now. Molly posted her scheduled post, responded to the 3 messages from disgruntled customers, sending an email to the customer service department with follow-up information, then checked notifications. A few tags, a couple of comments on her previous posts, a notice from Facebook about another policy change, but nothing that needed her attention right now. Then on to Twitter, her most dreaded job. She preferred to get it out of the way, so she always did it second. To her great relief, today's edition of Let's See Who's Bashing the Company Today was pretty mild. A couple of replies and forwards to customer service, and her first check-in with the twits was over, at least for now. Next, she spent a few minutes on all the minor outlets. Pinterest, where all the scheduled pins were doing just fine without her. LinkedIn, with its normal consistent platform. Lastly, Instagram. Her company had little to no traction on this platform when she was hired for this job, with the appearance of their account as drab. Let's see, these are live. With their account as drab as the 15-year-old carpet under her rolling desk chair. Molly had made it her one major goal to change that. The problem was, when she took this job, she didn't realize the choke collar the company placed around their social media that they would place around her neck as well, making advancing and improving anything an impossibility. Instead, she was expected to schedule the same old post, comment the same old comments, and continue on as if it was still 2007. Ugh. Snapped out of her reverie, she turned to find her new boss, son of the old boss, looking over her shoulder. 3, 2, 1.
No, how could you leave us? How
I
could you
know,
leave us
right?
here? Okay, wait, positive only. It's really good.
Oh, I was mad too. That's all right. I was mad too. Like, timer. Ugh.
Yes, and Jennifer, your writing has just become so like you are really telling us everything, but not info dumping. I don't even know how to explain to you. Like, you've really become masterful at kind of telling it like it is. Like, you totally are this girl going through this whole social media. Like, your internal with her is great. That's what I'm trying to say. I just couldn't figure out how to say it.
You really pulled me into the drudgery and the frustration of her job, and then now her boss is over her shoulder, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah,
you have to keep going. There's got to be hope.
Now, you said you were fleshing out this character. Is this a scene from the book, or is just a workshop for you?
This is a character that I wrote in a sprint before, and I've got nothing else besides, I think, these two. Maybe might be a third one floating out there, but it's the same one where she hit send on the email to her boss.
Yeah.
And this is the same boss. So
nice.
I remember.
Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Yeah. I think there was a third one where they brought each person individually to get their opinion. And so there is a third one out there. So it's really just kind of like, showing up. So
listen, though, if you took anything away from, like, to me, what told me the most about your character was she wanted to change the carpet. Like she went in there, I'm going to be a world changer. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? And then the choke collar. So like that's the story, like, that really makes me go, what's going on? Like, those two elements, Jen, beautifully done. Like, I love it.
And thank you, Shell, very much. And if any of you have ever, no, it's okay. If any of you have ever worked in a cubicle situation like that, where you come like that speaks to my heart, coming into like jobs and then you're all excited, you get in there and realize they just want you to fill a chair and just to hit the send button or whatever. Like, I didn't do social media because it really wasn't a thing back then, but
you really conveyed it. And Shell did say it's a great setup and she wants to see where it goes. That is totally how I feel. Yeah.
Leah says internal voice, good stuff, adds conflict beautifully. Thank you. Appreciate that, Leah. All right, now, Rhonda, you can't avoid it. It's now your turn.
Didn't I already do mine?
No.
Okay.
Don't even try that.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not even gonna make a comment.
Good for you.
Did the only thing I could do.
Yes.
All right. All right. Welcome to my laboratory, where all kinds of magic happens. If you have a vacation theory, it can take you to Aspen. You need something from the store? I got you. You want a little more? I'll see what I can do. Put me behind the wheel. Give me your list. Listen to my tires squeal. The deal I find is the best. Are you... Oh, no. Afraid of getting stuck in the snow? My Trailhawk edition never needs a tow. It's even good for a physician. What does it look like? The end. That's as far as I got. I struggled. So I decided to go with the poem because I had no sentences coming to me with these words. Well, okay, actually I did. I had a tire incident recently and I was going to write about that, but it was really angry before I even started writing it. So I went with the poem instead.
You should have been really angry. I don't know why you're concerned about expressing like strong emotions. Like, I would have loved something angry from Rhonda Hagerman.
I would like to hear that answer.
Well, no, it's not about the strong emotion, but it was still like, it was a real life event and it was still making me angry.
Good. Yeah, but why didn't you write that? Why didn't you just write
curious?
that?
Just curious.
I didn't want to think about it. I like thinking about happy stuff.
This is the girl that doesn't like to hurt her characters.
Remember? That's what I'm trying to get at.
We would like to see it. I would like to see it. Wouldn't you, Jen?
Yes, 100%. I would like to see that. I think that like you might actually unlock something inside of you if you would ever let yourself feel the way. And maybe the person that always wants to think about happy things, if you could put it in writing, real life could be happy, and you could like get some of this that's inside of you out. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, these are fictitious people that you can take your rage out on. It's like a tackling dummy.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, tell you what. Depending on what the powers that be who choose our words, I will write that story.
But to encourage you, what you did write was also you.
Yes.
It was very
true.
much your happy pixie sprite side. Like, I will give you anything you need. Come to my magical happy land. Like, what you did right was very also awesome. So I don't want you to feel like, this was a miss or something. You
Yeah.
just felt unsure about it because you questioned the direction. It was
Mhm.
still quality work because you are a good writer.
Yeah.
So it's like whichever outcome is going to be the right outcome. But we just want to encourage you to write from that strong emotion,
Mhm.
because art that comes from a place of emotion is
Mhm.
going to hit you in the place of emotion.
Hey,
True.
please don't take
True.
what I said as a criticism. It was
Oh
just a
no, I
question.
don't at all.
Yeah, but
No.
so
But next week you guys are gonna get it.
good.
Sorry.
Good.
Just
Chelsea's
don't
good
kill
job
me.
on a poetry on a timer is so hard. Agreed. Like I
Just
couldn't
don't
do
kill
it.
Tina. Tina says,
Yeah.
just don't kill me.
You can kill me. I deserve
Kill
You
it.
can kill me. I deserve it too. Yes, a whole scene of pummeling me.
I don't know which
Oh.
way to point.
Well.
I'm just gonna.
All right.
Tina's like, just not me. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, Shell, you must be referring to some of my questionable rhymes.
Oh,
in
they're
that.
great. Like, see, for me, close rhymes, if they're done cleverly, are sort of
Mhm.
my favorite. So, like, I just appreciated it. I really felt like you were a little fairy sprite, like a Rumpelstiltskin. Like, and that's why I
Oh,
wanted it to
yeah,
keep
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Yeah, because there was going to be a wheel and a magical item produced. Yeah, I really
Mhm.
loved it.
Well, thank you. Okay, so let's move on from that.
All right.
Okay, so now we've already gone over our what's up. So now we need to discuss what's next. So, Jen, tell us what is next for you in this next week.
Well, I am still outlining. I know everyone's tired of hearing that, but it is moving along. Because I'm out, for those of you catching y'all up, I'm outlining an entire series before I start writing it, which is kind of a lie. I already started writing the first book. It was a nano project that never finished. But I am like reverse outlining it, making sure that I'm hitting all the points, and I'm outlining all 4 books. There was a point where I thought I only had 3 of me. I couldn't come up with another idea, and then doing something else and pop, the 4th book came
What
up.
a gift. What a gift.
And let me tell you where that 4th book came from. It came from a writing sprint. One of our writing sprints from either episode 1 or 2 or 3. It was like within the first 3 writing sprints that we did. Oh no, it wouldn't be episode 1, episode 2, 3, or 4. For sure, like it was one of these old writing sprints that I remembered, and the characters that I really wanted to write about, and that all of a sudden the story was there. So it's going really well. So this week I'm hoping to finish the outline on book 3 so I can start getting really heavily into the outline of book 4. I'm really loving how I'm doing the pre-planning and outlining, but I'll have more on that later. I'm hoping to put together kind of like a little help thing for people to do outlining. So that's what's next.
All right. Tina?
Well, this week I was working on the beginning of book 3. So I'm going to continue that. I had an idea for a book 4. I don't know if it would be like in this series or if it would be a new series based in the same world. But I have all these ideas. I had to open a new file and put them all down. So,
and are you, when you say working on book 3, like you're writing it already, or are you outlining it? You're doing a story origin?
I'm doing the Story Genius preliminary kind of backstory kind of stuff, but it's going a lot faster than book 2 did. So
awesome.
We'll see what happens.
Tina and I were joking. Her 3rd book is going to come out like 2 days before she starts writing it, because progressively she just gets faster at a rate that is like going to negatively affect her.
I'm telling you, like it happens that way though. Like the more you write, the faster it happens, and the easier, not easier. I mean, it's still an art, and you're still crafting something, but it doesn't seem like so painful, I guess, is a great way to say it.
Yeah, well, I took a learner, the Strengths for Writers thing. I took the learner intensive, and I found out that reading a really good book in your genre actually feeds learner. And so on Memorial Day, I decided, after I was done with my writing time, my husband was home from work, I decided just to take the rest of that day off, and I started reading the Mistborn series by his name just totally. Anyway,
we could look
Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson. And when I sat down on Tuesday morning, like my ideation was just going crazy. So it really did work. I was like, wow, that was amazing to me, the way that happened.
We can hit the chat here. Shell has a what's next. She's going to get back to daily writing. She's been a little aimless lately. Well, Shell, when you put your mind to it, you do what needs to be done. So you take that rest if you need it, girl.
Yeah, we know you're
Teresa
a goal
Thomas.
leader.
Yes. Teresa Thomas says, sell my house. That's right. That's right, girl. Get it sold. And don't cut your hair. Don't ever make any drastic decisions about your hair.
head.
Right. Leah Benacki, she says she's trudging through the grief. She lost a pet.
Oh, yeah.
So she's trying to get her writer brain back because she wants to get about 20K in. Poor thing. Oh, that's sad. But she does like Mistborn. You cheered her up by talking about Mistborn. Yay, so phenomenal.
It was
She
really
said.
good.
Yeah. All right, good.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go next. So I've got editing to do this week. I've got a sunny week coming up. So my garden is going to be, last year it took over a lot of my writing time. And this year I'm trying to be a mature adult and not play in the garden all day long and give everything else up.
Adulting is hard.
It is so hard.
I know, right?
Yes. But on the other hand, Teresa has already called me out because I'm going to be crafting my sprint all week long.
You don't even know what the prompt is yet.
She'll be like, this week I got 1,500 words.
Yes. Right.
We just make it fit around the prompt when we get there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Rhonda, I think you should just give up and take your entire writing desk and everything and just put it in the garden.
There you go.
You know what? I think I should. Yep.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I'm telling you, yesterday was so great, Rhonda. Like, just take something out there and sit and work. World of difference.
Like you used to when you would visit the pony.
Yeah. Yes. Aw, Jamie, you remember. Okay. So why don't you tell us what you're going to do next week?
So, some people use medicinal preparation of like whiskey and honey for, a sore throat or something. And so my children are wondering if my throat is sore because I've been dealing with WordPress and out has come the whiskey. No, I'm just kidding. But like for real and serious website Crudola. Okay, fine. I don't mind because I'm learning a lot, right? I understand now that this is a path toward growth, but it is a little frustrating. I have writingshorts.net. If you go there, that site is working just fine. You can sign up for my newsletter and get all of my author updates. Writing shorts, like you're writing and you're wearing a pair of shorts.net. Super great and fine. But like if you went to my author's website right now, it like looks so ugly. It's like terrible. Don't want anyone to know it exists. But like then I'm going to be trying to launch a novel. So yeah, that's what I'm doing this week is just trying to like, my ducks are like gens. They're not in a row. They're like scattered hither and yon. And I need to collect them. Yes, and put them in a kiddie pool and say, stay there, ducks. So that's where I'm at.
All right. Well, do we have anything else to say before we say goodbye to all of our chatters and listeners?
Did Jen say? Jen, did you say your? Yes, you did.
She went first, I believe.
Oh, it's been such a long time since that happened.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's wrap it up so we can all get to writing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this concludes the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. So until next week, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.